Hello, Chasers. Joe Fox here, a fellow Forest Fenn treasure hunter. Um, Wanted to post a video mainly to give back to the Fenn community. Um, I've seen a lot of Fenn tubers out there posting their wisdom on YouTube, and they don't hesitate to, share what they have that they think might be helpful for the Fenn community. I know they're not giving solves and stuff. I don't expect me to give a solve either. I mean, I'd hate to see a dog chases its tail because that's sometimes how I feel. Um, I do want to say that all the content on this video, it is mine. It's me ciphering the poem. I have had some help with the FinTubers, and I'll give props to them. After the video, watch, enjoy, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you want to make a comment, I'd love to hear those as well.
So open up your algebra books, and this is what we have. Fenn has said, simplify. That's good advice. Now, to me, simplify, there you have it, algebra. You're solving for x. That's all we're doing. We're all just solving for x. He didn't say keep it simple. He said simplify. And to me, that means solving for x. And I'm going to show you a few steps in my process that I came up with. So when I break down the poem, I like to go through it line by line and treat each line as its own entity. Um, Simplify, take it step by step. Um, to me, each line means something, and it may not be dependent on what the other lines mean. At least in breaking it down, not yet. You put it all together at a later time. Um, let's begin it at the beginning. Begin it where warm water's hauled. So to me, Fenn has an affinity with water. He's mentioned water twice in the poem directly, and then one time indirectly with there'll be no paddle up your creek. He doesn't actually mention water, but you feel like it's a waterway. Um, but back to begin it where warm water's hauled. Um, for this discussion, we're going to say where warm water's halt is 32 degrees. Water freezes at 32 degrees. And this is Fahrenheit. I know later we're going to be using a Celsius scale, but 32 degrees is where warm water halts. At 32 or below 32, it's no longer water, it's ice. And anyway, we take this 32 degrees, we're going to put it in a bucket, and then we'll go back to the poem and we'll cipher some more. Um, on the same lines with the water, or on the same wavelength with the water. Just heavy loads and water high, water again, water high. Well, water's boiling point is 100 degrees. So past 100, it's no longer water, it's steam. So water's, forget my pun, high water mark is 100 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees. So we're going to take that 100 degrees, put it in the bucket with 32, and we'll go back and cipher the poem a little bit more. We've all kicked this line around. I know it's been kicked around a lot, but not far, but too far to walk. Um, for the sake of this discussion, we're going to go with horizon. And I know you can answer that line any number of ways. It means something different to me than it means to you and to anyone else. And honestly, it means something different to me than it does to Mr. Fenn, I'm sure. But in this case, we're just going to use horizon. Horizon, it's not far, but it's too far to walk to. So take horizon and stick it in the bucket. And we're going to go down to the next line, put in below the home of ground. So one of the other Fenn tubers had released a video and alluded to the Atlantic had puzzles, and using these clue solving tips, you could find the answer within the clue itself. And using one of those tips that was on that Atlantic, I came up with the answer to the Homer Brown. Again, for this discussion, I'm not saying this is the answer to the Homer Brown. I'm just saying for this discussion. So you look at that B, it's capital all by itself. It has to mean something, right? That's what I thought too. Anyway, so I open a periodical table. Hey, kids in school, they'll be reading this. Kids have an advantage. B, boron. And yeah, I had originally thought it was bromine because they mine that near the Arkansas River. But for this discussion, we're going to say it's boron put in below the home of brown, which is aluminum, Al. We're going to take that Al, throw it in the bucket with the other stuff, and then we're going to put it all together. Oh, back to the poem for one quick little minute. Um, I wanted to point out heavy loads. Uh, so to me, heavy loads is it feels like Newtonian. So Newton's second law is gravity, and that gives us a vector. Heavy loads gives us an actual vector. It gives us a direction and magnitude. So your your vector is going to be pointing straight down at a magnitude greater than zero. Heavy loads. So I want to take that heavy loads or that vector, and we're just going to say it's vertical downwards. So down, which is negative vertical, we're going to take that negative vertical and throw it in the bucket with the other stuff. So piecing all these clues together, let's go back to the poem. Warm water salt, that was 32 degrees. Too far, too far to walk, or not far, but too far to walk. That's horizon. And then put in below the brown is AL. So horizon plus AL, horizontal. So we have a 32 degrees horizontal. Go down to the heavy loads in water high. So the water high was 100 degrees, and then the heavy loads was down. So a negative 100 degrees vertical. Now, if we go to Google Map and we put in that 32 degrees and negative 100, it takes us to Texas. Now, I know there were a lot of searchers, I won't say a lot, there were searchers in Texas, ground pounding, and the Fenn tubers were kind of laughing at them. But I was one of them. I'm with you. I'm like, what are they doing in Texas? It's not close to the Rocky Mountains. But if you scroll down from that point, you see Winters, Texas, and your effort will be worth the cold. So there is probably a connection here in Winters, and that's why those searchers were in Texas to find what that connection was. And laugh at them if you want. Keep in mind, they're a step ahead of you at this point. So I did a little poking around in Winters, not a whole lot. I did notice this Hale Museum, ZI Hale Museum, and one of the odd things about it, it has what did I just do? It has a locomotive in front of it, and from the Missouri Pacific train line, and that train line does go through the Rocky Mountains. I'm not saying that's the connection to the Rockies, but definitely Winters has some sort of connection. And with a name like Winters, you would hope they'd have a Dairy Queen because their their mascot is the Blizzards, and that would be nice. But if you're a chaser and you're near Winters, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go check Winters out and see if maybe you can find what the connection is there. to the Rockies. Um, Again, I haven't done a whole lot of research other than this Z.I. Hale Museum and that train line, that Missouri Pacific train line. Oh, and another odd thing about that Missouri Pacific train line, one of their other lines, it didn't actually go through the Rockies, but the name of the train line was the Rainbow Express. So I'm not saying that's the end of Finn's Rainbow, but it does kind of ring ominously, and it probably should be investigated. I I'm not saying I'm going to do boots on the ground there. I'll probably armchair this and try to see if I can find any connections from it. But so far, that's the that's the advice I would give everybody. I mean, really, eh, don't don't look too harshly on those people that are ground pounding in Texas, because I think they might have seen this in the poem as well. So, you know, give them a little credit. You know, sometimes you have to look at a an issue different ways to find the answer, and I think that's what they're doing there in Texas.
So that's some of the stuff that I wanted to share with the fan community. I hope that helps in your search. Um, as you can see, we really got to pick this poem apart. It it's hidden in plain sight. Um, I did mention I want to send some props out. Jimmy Fast, thank you for your videos, the ones on the blaze and finding coordinates in the poem, kind of like what we did here today. Um, I had that idea originally when I from day one when I first started the chase, and kind of pushed it aside. And your videos were motivation and going back to that. So thank you for that. Um, Also want to give props to Fenn Treasure Hunter. Sergeant did put that article about the Atlantic and amateur amateur tips to solve clues using the uh, the clues themselves. And I was able to pull out one of those clues uh, using one of the tips in that article. So um, Sergeant Dent, thanks a lot for that. Um, yeah, that's all I got for tonight. I mean, I've got some other thoughts I wouldn't mind making videos on. The one that's really eating me up is smell the sunshine. If we could get some, if we could get some backing on this video, I might make another video and throw it out there. Or if you have other ideas, post them in the comments. And, but thanks for watching.